Grammarly Business. Is it any good and what should you know about it? Hi there, my name is Brian Collins and welcome to the Become a Writer Today channel. I've spent the past few months testing Grammarly Business extensively and it's a tool that I use regularly within my small business. So in this video review, I'm going to talk all about what Grammarly Business does, how it differs to the standard version of Grammarly, and some of the key tools and features which you may find useful if you're running a small business, or perhaps if you collaborate with other writers, or you just want something that's a little bit more powerful and you want to be able to share access with your team members. Hope you enjoyed the content in this video review of Grammarly Business. If you have questions, let me know in the comments section below the video. And I'll also link to an in-depth written review so you can also learn more about what Grammarly Business does. Grammarly Business was released over a year ago, and since then the product has evolved quite a lot and it's got a number of key features which could be helpful for you. Now, if you're interested in trying Grammarly, you can of course just try the free version of Grammarly. You can try Grammarly Premium, or you can take out a demo of Grammarly Business. In terms of pricing, Grammarly Business will cost you $15 per team member per month. And that's if you take out an annual plan with a 40% discount. So you can see here, based on their pricing selector, if I bought Grammarly Business for 3 team members in my business, it would cost me $45 per month if I pay annually. Whereas if I wanted to pay monthly, it would cost me $75 per month. And there are of course discounts if you add more than 10 team members. And Grammarly Business can support up to 149 team members around the world. Basically, when you take out your Grammarly Business plan, you as the administrator or the owner can give access to team members who can access your version of Grammarly securely, and you can manage all of this billing in one place. So before you take out a version of Grammarly Business, ask yourself how many team members need access, and if you want to schedule a demo, or if you just want to go straight in and sign up for an annual plan to avail of that 40% discount. If you're watching this video, chances are you have a basic understanding of what Grammarly does. Perhaps you took out the free version and you've used it to check your own writing. Or perhaps you or people in your business have the premium version of Grammarly, but you'd like to manage all of this in one place. Well, the key differences between Grammarly Business and the previous premium version of Grammarly is firstly that you can give access to 149 team members, but it also has a dedicated style guide, and I'll show you this in a few moments. And this is particularly helpful if you want to develop a consistent brand voice for your company. You can also develop administrative controls, so you can control who has access to Grammarly Business, and it has beefed up security in case you're worried about anything that could be potentially commercially sensitive. And you can also control all of the invoicing and so on from one place. Grammarly Business is also good because it has advanced collaboration features, which are really good if you or team members are collaborating on a report, a business plan, a document, or some other type of writing. And I'll show you how all of this works. For the purposes of this video review, I'm going to show you Grammarly Business as it works in the web app for Chrome, but you can of course use Grammarly Business as a desktop app for your computer, also as an add-in for various writing apps, and also as a mobile app. And I'll show you how one of those add-ins works in a moment for Mac OS, and it's pretty similar for Windows. So this is the Grammarly Business dashboard. Basically, you can use it in a number of different ways. The first thing you can do is just simply click on New and paste in text that you've written, and Grammarly Business will automatically scan it for errors. Your other option is of course that you could upload a document, including a Word document. So in other words, if you've written something in Word for your company, then you could upload the Word version and check it here. I've gone ahead and pasted in an article of approximately 2,000 words in length where I compared 2 different blogging tools, Substack and Ghost. Grammarly Business will just take a few moments to scan these for errors. Now, why I particularly like using Grammarly Premium and Grammarly Business is because I can accept and reject multiple suggestions at once. So you can see here it has lots of different suggestions of grammar errors that I may want to fix in my article. At first glance, all of these look okay to me, so I would click Accept All. So this can dramatically save up the amount of time that I spend editing documents for my company. Now that said, you should never take any suggestions that you get in any grammar checker as gospel. You, as the owner of your company's brand voice or as the editor, need to decide what makes best sense or what makes the most sense before you press publish. Now, I also like using the premium version of Grammarly and Grammarly Business because it can help me learn a little more about the rules of English grammar. So if, for example, I go to the correctness tab here, it will give me some potential issues that I may want to fix with some context. So apparently I have inconsistent spacing. In some places I'm using 1 space and in some places I'm using 2 spaces. Now, inconsistency is terrible to read on the web. If you're going to use 2 spaces between one sentence and the next, make sure you do it throughout, but don't alternate between one and the other. So I would simply click update all to fix this potential issue. Now here's another potential issue. So it's saying that I should change this to the article who can edit article. And it's giving me a bit of context here saying the noun phrase article seems to be missing a determiner before it. Now let's say I didn't know what this meant. Well, I can just click on the Learn More tab and it's going to give me some examples about this potential grammar issue. So if, for example, there's somebody in your company who's not too comfortable writing in English or writing public-facing documents, they could use something like this to improve their English writing skills. And this can also be a great way of giving you a bit of confidence that you're adhering to basic grammar rules before you press publish. And of course, you're not going to get these types of fixes using a traditional grammar checker that you'll find in your operating system or in a traditional writing app. So basically, if you haven't used Grammarly before, anything underlined in red is a grammar error. Anything underlined in blue is something that could potentially improve the quality of your writing and make it more clear and concise. Anything that involves engagement usually involves word choices that you can make that could be stronger or could make more of an impact on readers. You can also customize the delivery. I don't use this report as much, but basically it relates to the type of tone that you've set for your document, and I'll show you how this works in a moment. And there's also a style guide as well, which is a Grammarly business only feature. And again, I'll show you how this works. And of course, Grammarly includes a dedicated plagiarism checker too. Before I get into some of those Grammarly business features, let's have a look at the overall score, because again, I find this is quite helpful if, for example, you as an editor or a business owner want to give feedback to a team member. You could simply download this PDF report and ask them to fix issues. So in this case, it's given me a score of 90 out of 100, which is quite good. But let's say I had a red score, well then I could potentially use this to flag issues before I publish it or do something with the document in question. Now I'm mostly interested in the readability score. Higher scores indicate that the material is easier to read. So unless you're writing something that's technical for your company, aim to get this readability score as high as possible. And again, there are some other interesting metrics that you can use if you really want to get into line editing and copy editing your work. I mentioned about the readability score and how that can vary depending on whether or not you're writing technical documentation. Now to do that, I recommend using the goals section and determining if your audience is general, knowledgeable, or an expert. So if it's technical documentation, you could pick the expert tab and you could select formal. And if it's a business document, you could select business. And you could say your intent is to inform readers and then click done. And that will change the score slightly based on, or it takes a moment to scan it. That will change the score slightly based on what goals you've set for your writing document of choice. So this is one way of tailoring the suggestions that Grammarly offers beyond grammar errors, so they're more relevant for you, for your business, and for your audience. One of my favorite Grammarly Premium and Grammarly Business features is the Plagiarism Checker. Basically, you can paste any text into Grammarly and click plagiarism. It will take about 30 seconds to scan the text, and then it will surface instances of where this text has been used online. So I've gone ahead and scanned this with the Plagiarism Checker, and this is an article that I wrote for my site, Become a Writer Today. And you can see here that it's identified that this text, 86% of it matches the particular article that I published on my site. So in other words, if I was working with a freelance writer that I was potentially considering hiring, my first step would be to scan their article for instances of plagiarism. So that would help me figure out if there's somebody that I want to work with. Now, that said, this is also useful if you're writing something for your business, and perhaps you want to make sure you haven't accidentally plagiarized a source online. Or perhaps let's say you've cited a statistic or you've cited a quote from an expert or a thought leader who cited a lot online, but you can't quite remember where you got that quote from, or you need to find a hyperlink. Well, just paste it into Grammarly Business and you'll be able to find the hyperlink and then add it to your text, and then you won't have to worry about instances of accidental plagiarism. Now, I do cover the plagiarism checker in Grammarly extensively on another video on the channel, so please go and check this out. Again, this is also helpful because of the collaboration features. So you could ask an editor in your company to scan articles for instances of plagiarism, and then you could figure out if somebody is plagiarizing work that's been published on your company site. So it's a way of, I suppose, protecting your valuable business content marketing assets and seeing how they're being used online. Many businesses and companies have specific terminology, for example, related to their brand or copyright that they like to use, but which may not necessarily be in the English dictionary. This is where a style guide can help. And a style guide can also help you ensure that your writers talk about the same ideas, concepts, and products in the same way. This is a Grammarly Business only feature, and to show you how it works, I'm going to type out this particular sentence. I love to hodl cryptocurrency. Now, hodl would typically be flagged as a spelling or grammar error, but it's actually slang or a widely accepted cryptocurrency term for I like to hold cryptocurrency. And you can see here that Grammarly Business has flagged this as something in the style guide. And it's just saying check phrase usage, and then it's saying this is a widely accepted cryptocurrency term. So in other words, if I was editing this particular document and this issue came up, this would say to me that this is actually part of the company style guide and I'm okay to go ahead and keep this particular suggestion. So this is the style guide, and I've added a couple of terms before recording this video. So for example, I have the term hodl here. I put in a bit of context, or I can put in a bit of context for this rule. This is a cryptocurrency term. And I can say whether I want to change this text or not. In this case, I'm going to click no text change because I like the term hodl to stay as is. Here's another term that I put in, non-fiction. So I previously wrote a book called The Art of Non-Fiction Writing with no hyphen. Whether you want to put a hyphen in non-fiction or not depends on your particular style. And in this case, I've said that the title of this book is The Art of Writing a Non-Fiction Book with a hyphen. So if I were to use the word non-fiction with no hyphen, it should change to non-fiction with a hyphen. And this is the explanation of the rule in question. So in other words, ask yourself what particular words or terms does your company like to use, and then put them into your style guide. And of course, Grammarly has some examples as well. So the term employee, according to this style guide, should be changed to team member. As an example, when I was a copywriter, I worked for a software company, and sometimes I would get documents where people would talk about employees and they would use words like staff. However, staff wasn't in the company style guide. We preferred to use terms like employees and your people. So for something like this, I would put this in the style guide, and then if another editor was working on the document, they would know to change the words like staff to your people or to team member. So this is fantastic because you can create lots of different rules about words that you want to change and add them to your dedicated style guide. And you can also import a CSV of rules if, for example, you have a pretty big style guide for your company in question. Now, what I would love to see with this particular style guide is actually some integration with a widely accepted style guide like the Harvard Style Guide or the Chicago Manual of Style. And then you could pick which style guide is relevant for your business, because there are variations between them on how they handle citations and so on. So perhaps that's a feature that Grammarly Business will add over time. But in short, if you want to use the style guide, remember it's a Grammarly Business only feature, and to put in any terms related to your company, to your brand, and anything that's important that your team members are consistent about in here as a rule, so anyone collaborating will talk about it in the same way with the right words. Grammarly Business has also built out the style guide with some additional features which will help you with how you like to express yourself or your business online. So for example, using exclamation marks is pretty popular on Twitter these days, I suppose thanks to Donald Trump, who used them a lot in his tweets. But to be honest, it can be overkill in blog posts, articles, and in content marketing assets. So according to this, you can decide whether you want to use exclamation marks more or less. So avoid using multiple exclamation points and question marks. Well, I would say on for all, because I don't like having exclamation marks in headlines, subheadings, and so on. Another potential issue you may come across is how dates and times are cited. So for example, somebody may use US dates, somebody else may use British dates, somebody might write out the dates, and somebody may use numbers. So again, I would turn this on for all. There's lots of other potential rules that you may want to turn on or off depending on your I suppose your business and what way you like to express yourself online. The Oxford comma is one potentially contentious grammar issue. So you can decide whether you want to suggest using the Oxford comma or not. So it is worthwhile reading through these rules and figuring out which ones are relevant to your business. And you can, of course, sort them by category too. I should point out that this particular writing style feature does have an option for citations in APA, MLA, and Chicago styles. So you can turn this on, but I guess it would be great to get more features like this so I could customize this even further. If you or your team find themselves typing out long words or technical terms quite a lot, you can save a lot of time using the Snippets feature inside of Grammarly Business. So to use it, simply navigate to Snippets and then click on Create Snippet. And then you give your snippet a name and some content, and you save it to your collection. So you can have a collection for you, for your sales team, or for your marketing team. So here's a snippet I created earlier. I'll click on the pencil icon so you can see how it works. The snippet is called BAWT, and it stands for Become a Writer Today, which is the name of my site. Now, because I have Grammarly installed as a desktop app on my computer, I can open up a writing application of choice. And then if I type in slash, the snippet will automatically appear as a way of saving time with the text. Now, this is a relatively new feature inside of Grammarly, so it doesn't work everywhere just yet. So this is the text editor for Grammarly on the web app. And when I type in the slash and write BAWT, there was no option for this snippet to append. So it's probably something you're going to use in another writing application, but perhaps this is something they will add over time. Depending on the size of your small business, you may want to develop a tone of voice so your team members can talk to customers, prospects, and readers in the same way. It's pretty easy to do, and again, this is a new feature in Grammarly Business only. You simply go to Brand Tones and click on Create Tone Profile. You can give your profile a name, so I'm going to call this my company profile. You can actually create several different company profiles, which is useful if you want to have one for marketing, sales, and so on, or if you want ones for different websites. So I'm just going to create one for all websites for the purpose of this document. Now if I click on my company profile, there's a kind of a tutorial that will walk you through how to set it up. So I'll click on Get Started. And Grammarly will give me a couple of different sentences which will best reflect how I talk to customers. So how would I like to apologize to a customer? So if you've ever been on to customer support, you may be familiar with the casual versus formal tone that different companies take. So formal, I'd like to express our sincerest apologies. Casual, I totally understand, sorry about that. So I like this one. And again, how would you want to ask a team member for more information? I can absolutely assist you, formal, semi-formal, informal. In today's global economy, we all know how important how it is to have good writing. So again, semi-formal, formal, semi-formal, informal. And then you complete a couple of different tests like that, then click Analyze Answers, and then Grammarly Business will develop some recommended tones for you, which you can use or which you can adjust in your writing. And then when you're in the Grammarly editor, these will pop up as a tone report or as a tone issue that you can potentially fix, ignore, accept, or reject. So this is on brand, so I want to be relatable. This is off brand, I don't want to be helpful. So it should be friendly, sincere, and appreciative rather than dissatisfied, dismissive, or negative. So for example, you may want to use positive terms and words in all of your public-facing documents and content marketing assets and avoid negative words. Well, this is how you would ensure that the writers on your team do just that. And again, this is a fairly new feature to Grammarly, and obviously you're going to have to decide on the tone for your company yourself with your writers before you actually go and build this out, but it is worth checking out. And collaborate securely with team members around the world. Well, basically you simply add a member to Grammarly Business, and that's how they can access a dashboard and access all of the documents you have inside of Grammarly. So to do it, simply click on Members, click on Invite Members, and you can invite them one by one if it's a small business, or if it's freelancers, you can just add a freelancer's email address. Or if you have lots of different people in your company, you can invite them in bulk using either of these options. And you can, of course, create groups for sales, marketing, and so on. Now, why I particularly like this is it also has some metrics about when they last logged in. So you may remember in the pricing section, I talked about how you're paying per user for your Grammarly Business subscription. And I know tools like this can get expensive. And what if you're paying for something but nobody's using it? Or only a few people in your company are using it? Well, you can go in here and you can see when they last logged in, but you can also go to the analytics section and you can see the types of changes that people have made and when they're most active versus least active. Now, of course, the point here isn't to be snooping up on what your team members are doing. In fact, when I worked for a corporate company, I hated that type of management and I certainly don't recommend it. It's more just to figure out who the active team members are and then to figure out who would need a Grammarly Business account versus who wouldn't. So for example, if somebody's writing and editing, then they would need a Grammarly Business account. Whereas let's say somebody's involved in customer support, then maybe they necessarily wouldn't need one. That's for you to decide based on your budget. If you're using Grammarly Business, you may be concerned about data security if you're working on something commercially sensitive. The good news is you can turn on two-step verification and you can see what devices have been logging into Grammarly and from where, and then you can sign out of those devices from your dashboard. On the Grammarly Business website, you can read about their compliance with various third-party certifications, including ISO 27001. And you can also create a single sign-on experience, which is great if you're a bigger company and you want people to log in with their company or corporate email addresses rather than their personal email addresses. So that can be a great way to onboard employees. And you can even upload your company logo here as well. Particular feature that I recommend taking a look at if you're using Grammarly Business is what version of English you've set it to. So I'm in Ireland, and a couple of years ago I was working for a corporate company, and sometimes I would edit web copy produced by copywriters in the United Kingdom, but it was meant for the United States. So in that case, I would go into Grammarly and I would change from British English to American English. So you should ask yourself where you publish in your articles, because you want to make sure those ISs or IZs are grammatically correct for the region in question. And of course you can add some words to your personal dictionary if you haven't done it in your style guide here as well. And there's also some information about your writing style, which I've covered previously. And you can also make some additional customizations to how you use Grammarly Business. In summary, Grammarly Business is an ideal choice for small business owners and for writers and editors who like to collaborate a lot. It's also great for anybody who wants to ensure a consistent tone of voice, brand, and messaging for their company documents. Of course, you can try the free version of Grammarly and see if you like it before investing your business's resources in it. The only real downside, I suppose, is the price. If you're a small business and perhaps you're strapped for cash, it could get expensive if you add every team member to Grammarly Business. So you may want to ask yourself how many team members should have access. Now, I've tested a number of different grammar checker tools, but Grammarly Business is the best one that I've tried for businesses because of all of the additional features it has, like the style guide, snippets, secure collaboration, and so on. And I think you'll find it's a great choice. So I hope you enjoyed this review of Grammarly Business. If you do have questions about something that I haven't covered, or perhaps there's a new feature you'd like me to profile in a subsequent video, because Grammarly Business is being updated all the time, please let me know in the comments section below the video. And if you want to get more videos like this, then don't forget to subscribe to the Become a Writer Today channel.